Hi, I'm Kenneth WAJDA. I'm a professional photographer here in Colorado. Welcome to another one of my photography talks. So today I want to talk about humor. So Elliot Erwitt is a photographer who I really like his work. He's a Magnum photographer. He's a photographer who shot through the 40s, 50s, and 60s and still shoots today. And he has some famous photographs, but there's a lot of humor in his photographs. And I don't think everything that is a street photo needs to be clever and humorous, but it needs to have a story. In fact, my distinction between my Roy Stryker project and my street photography is the Roy Stryker project can be ordinary moments of people living life in good documentary pictures that tell stories. But street photography needs to be a little bit more. The street work, I think, needs to have a little bit of an element of, wow, there's some really cool, special thing about those photographs that they transcend just straight documentary. And humor is one of the best. And humor isn't always easy to get. But like this photograph is of a workman in Boulder. And I just happen to be walking along and there's a sign that says shoulder work ahead, and there's a man carrying a big metal tank on his shoulder. And in the background, there's somebody putting a bag on his shoulder. And to me, it's a little visual joke that there's shoulder work ahead going on, and they are. They're all working with their shoulders. And it's just sort of like a little fun thing to notice. I noticed it when I was shooting. That's something you could find out in the edit and go, hey, look, by the way. But I noticed that sign. I noticed they were doing that when I was shooting it. And those humorous things are good for a street project, I think, because people like photographs that have a little humor in them. I have another photograph. I'll put all these photographs in the links, but I have another photograph that is of a woman on her cell phone. And I don't like people on their cell phone photos. I just don't think they're photographs. I don't think they're even interesting. They're just too common. Maybe in 50 years people will say, hey, you know what you don't see anymore? It's people on their cell phones in public. But right now they're so ubiquitous that it's almost like I don't really want to see that. A person standing on the corner talking on their phone, to me, isn't a street photo because the story isn't that interesting. But this photograph of a woman talking on her cell phone is only interesting because she's dressed like a fire plug. Well, not like a fire plug, like the fire plug that's next to her. Both of them have mint green jackets on. Both of them have white collars. And I'll put that in the photo links below. And the point is, it's a little juxtaposition of visual play. And that's what made it for me. That's what drew me to take that photograph. And I have a handful of other ones that are kind of humorous. And to me, they tell little funny stories. And stories are what we're shooting when we're shooting street. What elevates one photo from the next one? Well, some photos there's just somebody walking along doing nothing, and I'm not really sure what I'm looking at and why I'm supposed to look. Those photos I try to edit out. But there are other stories that are like they have a little bit of a sense of perplexion. What the heck is going on there? I have a few like that. I'll put those in the links. And certainly humor. That's funny. Look, it's a little visual play. It's a little juxtaposition of light and story and characters and whatever it is. Color. And so I think if you can find humor, I can think of a few more photographs as I'm talking that also would fall into this category. I'll put those all in the links because if you can find those, they make for a fun gallery. There's a lot of street galleries that to me look like just another person walking along a graphic shadowed sidewalk and some lines on a building, and I've seen that 1,000 times. But to get something that's a really clever thing, like if you look up Elliot Erwitt's photo of the man sitting on the stoop of his New York brownstone with a dog on his lap. If you don't know that photo, I'll put that in there too. That's like a famous photograph that's got a lot of humor. And those photographs stand out a little bit. I don't think you can only do that because I don't think that you can get, very many of those all the time. But to me, when I'm documenting and photographing street, I'm looking for that one little extra thing. It might be a person laughing. It might be a person tripping. It might be a person giving a glance or a expression. Because the one where they're not giving that expression and they're not tripping and they're just going through their day, I'm not sure how interesting that is to me. Again, unless you're creating a scene with people in ordinariness and using that as a story, this is an ordinary spot of an ordinary place and an ordinary group of people. There could be something to that. Like I said, I certainly do that with my Roy Stryker project. I document life, and it doesn't always have to be extraordinary. It just has to be genuine and real. So humor, you can find some photographs that make you go, huh. A little visual play, a little bit of a joke that people will be delighted with. The old storyteller's mantra is to delight and to surprise. So our photographs have to delight in some way and surprise sometimes. The humor is the surprise, but the delight is, I have a good story here for you. Oh, that is a good story. The surprise is if it's got a little humor, that's like a real little bonus. But that's the thing that, in fact, this is a good note on storytelling. They say that as you write stories, an audience will watch a story like this. What is this? Am I going to like this, or am I going to waste my time? And then what you have to do is, in a very short matter of time, get them to put their arms down and connect and give in to you as a storyteller. So put your strongest photos at the top of your gallery, because in a very short time they're going to be like, what is this? Is this a waste of my time? And you have to get them to put their arms down and lose their barrier to suspecting that it's not going to be valuable, and get them in. Oh, look at that. That's fun. Oh, yeah, okay. Once you get their guard down, now you've got them. As a storyteller making a feature film, you might have 10 minutes or 20 minutes. And then it's too late probably because they already bought their ticket. But the point is, they're not going to like you if in 20 minutes they don't know, why am I watching this? And there are two things that they say an audience watching a story, they do. They say, what's happening? And it has to be clear. And what's going to happen next? And if it's not clear what's happening, it's like, what is the point of this? If photographs that you're showing are like just a bunch of mindless photographs that don't have any story, people will start scratching their heads and going, why am I looking at this? And then what's going to happen next? In a narrative drama, you have to create some kind of a tension for what's going to happen next. Well, hopefully your stories take people on a little journey and they go, and I'm going to see the next one. I'm going to see the next one. If they can't figure out what's going on, or they don't care what's happening next, they'll just turn it off, tune out, and leave. So our job as storytellers is to delight and surprise, show them photographs that they can understand why you are showing them to them, and get them to want to go further, turn the page, see some more. That's the storyteller's job, and we as photographers are storytellers. All right, that's today's photography talk. If you're enjoying these, hit the subscribe button. If you can support, please, the Patreon is right there, and thank you so much for watching. I wish you great photography and great light. I'll talk to you soon.